something's wrong here, you know what I mean? Well, he doesn't bat an eyelid, this geezer, so I asks him, which one's mine? Because how am I supposed to tell one toad from another? You can't do it, can you?
Oi, just look at this pump.
Well, it's all right, isn't it?
All right. Why, if Mr. Arkwright saw this... No, it won't do at all, Neville. You'd better put it right. I'll come and check it. Oh, no. Neville, whatever you do, don't do that. I thought I told you to put it right.
That's right, that's what I did. I took the whole f***ing thing to pieces and put the whole f***ing thing together again.
My godfathers. I can see I've got to spell it out for you. Now then. 1. Preparing the equipment. You make sure the pressure's off the stuffing box and that the liquid's drained.
F***ing house. How did we get here?
Never mind. You then remove the gland follower nuts and pull the gland follower clear of the stuffing box. Right, Neville?
Right.
You then take paired extractor tools of the correct size and screw them into the old packing on opposite sides of the shaft and carefully withdraw the old packing. You then remove any remaining bits of the old packing and wipe the stuffing box and shaft clean. And don't forget the old packing rings should be kept for examination. I mean, look at that one, squashed flat. You over-tighten that. Is that all right, Neville?
Right.
Check the shaft to see it's centred in the bore of the stuffing box. Make certain it's running true. Next, you check that the shaft surface under the packing rings is free from scores, fittings, grooves, ridges or the like. Right?
Right.
You now check the gland follower for general condition and examine it for fit. Then check your radial clearances. Get them right and you'll stop cocking and the follower touching the shaft, which can cause shaft damage and overheating. Check the clearances at the bottom of the box. If they're too big, you can insert a close clearance spacer ring to prevent packing extrusion. Am I right?
Right.
Next, measure the depth of the stuffing box to find out how many rings will be required, not forgetting to allow for the entry of the gland follower.
Well, Neville, now we've checked all this, we know the pump is right. It now depends on packing it properly.
2. The packings. These are normally supplied as spirals or on a spool or as die-formed rings to suit the pump. When they form a continuous length, you must cut off sufficient to make the required number of rings. Mustn't you, Neville?
Right.
You place the packing round the shaft or round a mandrel of the same diameter. Now then, before you cut the rings, Neville, it's helpful to draw 2 guidelines parallel to the shaft and separated by the distance of the packing section of the spiral. Now you cut the rings diagonally across the squares, thus ensuring that no gap is left between the ends. Right?
Right.
Before cutting any further rings, check the first one for a good fit in the stuffing box. Perhaps just one more word before we fit the packing. If it's right for the product, wipe a thin film of Threadguard anti-seize compound around the inside and outside of the packing rings. I think you'll find it's worth the trouble. Yes. 3. Fitting the packing. You check that the shaft turns freely, then you fit each ring one at a time. Right?
Right.
When the rings are being fitted, the joints should be staggered. That is 4 o'clock, 8 o'clock and 12 o'clock. And make sure that the shaft can be turned after you fit each ring. You make certain each ring is pushed home properly. The first one must go right down to the bottom of the box using either a split sleeve with the gland follower or, of course, you could use a tamping stick. All the rings must go into the box square and straight. If there is a lantern ring, it must be positioned in line with the inlet pipe to allow for slight compression of the bottom packing rings. Right, Neville?
All right.
Now you can bring the gland follower up against the top ring and tighten the nuts evenly to finger pressure, making sure the shaft doesn't bind on the gland follower. 4. Running in. Open the suction valve. Start the pump. Open the delivery valve. And the gland should leak. If it doesn't leak, it'll overheat. So, if it doesn't leak, stop the pump. Allow it to cool and try again until it leaks, but don't slacken off the gland nuts. Right, Neville?
Right.
When the pump has been running for 10 minutes with steady leakage, tighten the gland nuts 1/6 of a full turn. At 10-minute intervals, continue to tighten the nuts by 1/6 of a full turn until leakage is reduced to a mere drip. The whole object is to get very little leakage and run the pump as cool as possible.
Right.
Note that with careful running in, leakage may be cut down to nothing. Any other adjustment should be made when the pump is working at normal temperature and pressure. Right. Have you got that?
Yeah, I think so. You make sure the pressure's off the stuffing box and the liquid is drained, and then you remove
the gland follower nuts.
And you pull the gland follower
Clear of the stuffing. Neville, what are you...
It's a teaspoon.
Oh,
Do you want a cup of tea? Yeah, can we have 2 teaspoons, one without sugar? Yeah, because I'm on a diet.
Yeah. Oh, you're well with that.